Right, so we have come to the last question and answer session of this Kalalgoda August English medium retreat. So we have received a couple of questions and we'll start the session with written questions.
We have 4 reports today. Report number 1, Thero and Saranai. Dear Bhante, today during Dhammadesana of Chabbisodana Sutta, you mentioned the example of a skinned cow trying to get away from her tormentors. As an example to understand this, when you get sensory input from sparsha food, I couldn't understand the part of trying to relate a sparsha sensation to a skinned cow. What should you do when you have a sensation? When I tried to write this question, I realized that I didn't understand how to relate the other foods to the given examples also, except for Kabadinkara food. Dear Bhante, if there is time, could you please explain again the Dhammadesana parts regarding to the 4 types of foods? Thank you and much merit to you. May you achieve all your aspirations on the path to Nirvana. A grateful yogi.
Yeah, grateful yogi. So actually the Fatsa Ahara, the contact. So basically, we typically have 6 senses and we consider it as a blessing. Yes, of course, it's a blessing. But on the other hand, we can look at it in a different way. That having eyes, we always see something. Having ears, we always hearing something. Having nose, we always subject to some kind of smells. And tongue also, if you are using, we can feel various states. And the body always subject to different kinds of sensations. And if none of them, even if they are present or not, still mind is completely occupied with some thoughts. Now, this is very much like, we are being always occupied with something. So our senses are like, in a way we can assume that, say you want to sleep. So why are you closing your eyes when you want to sleep? So why are you finding out a silent place for sleep? Isn't it? If you want to have a good sleep, so it's quite necessary to close your eyes, to have a very silent place. And if someone is knocking the door, if the garage is working, then you can't work. You can't sleep. So that means if you want to have a proper rest, so you need to shut down these senses. So in the other way, we can look at, so these senses are the ones stimulating us. They are continuously stimulate us, jerk us, trigger us. So in that sense, we can consider, skinned cow has no escape. Wherever it goes, so it is being tormented by different kinds of such kind of an input. Either it goes to the playground, so the crows and all other birds may see it and come down and they start biting it. And if it is going to the river or whatever the water, then the fish and all available there, they come and bite. If it is go closer to a tree, whoever in the tree, they come and bite. So likewise, so it's a continuous kind of a torture going on because it's skinned. Now, don't you think that the same thing happens to us? Because of these senses, so we don't have any rest. So that is why in the proper analysis, Buddha mentioned Salayatana Nirodha is the Nibbana. So in the ultimate sense, so when your Salayatana, they may be functioning, but their real function has faded away. So there's a very beautiful sutta called Kamaguna Sutta. So there Buddha mentioned Chakkuncha Nirujjati Rupa Sanyacha Virajjati Se Ayatane Veditabbe. Sotancha Nirujjati Saddha Sanyacha Virajjati Se Ayatane Veditabbe. What he mentioned is Chakkuncha Nirujjati. So it's very much like your eyes are not working now. They are very much like ceased to function. And whatever the sanya, various perceptions, various signs taken by the sign are now fading away. Now that means the ayatana type of operation of the eyes are no more. Now typically, so the ayatana is a kind of a department, kind of an institute. So there are a lot of functions are going on. So don't think that through your eyes you are simply looking just a instantaneous something, but that is simply the triggering point. But based on that, there are so much of other activities are going on. You start recognizing, you start feeling, you start thinking, and ultimately get into the obsessive thinking, and ultimately subjected to proliferation. So this is the ayatana, the function of eye. So that type of ayatana is now ceased. You simply see, but that's it. There is no further functioning. There is no further, proliferation. So whatever the fragments, whatever the shadows, photos, whatever things that you have taken by the eye, all have now faded away. So your mind has to be clear that sense. So how our mind get clogged? So based on what we see, based on what we hear, based on what we smell, taste, touch, think. So they are producing various different kinds of objects. So those objects come and crowd the mind, and ultimately mind get clogged. But when we are talking here, chakkuncha nirujjati rupa sanyacha virajjati, that means, so your eye has completely very much ceased, that operation of this ayatana part that has ceased, even though I can see, EYE, I can see, and the rupa sanya has virajjati, so it has faded away. Sotancha nirujjati saddha sanyacha virajjati. Sota, the ear, it has stopped the thinking part, proliferation part, but maybe hearing may happen, that's it. But no more, just hearing. Saddha sanyacha virajjati. All the different kinds of sounds, say songs and all those things have completely faded away. So ultimately, if you apply the same principle to each and every ayatana, so that means ayatanas are there, but they are not doing more than that. So then the mind is clear, then mind has stopped, basically. Then Buddha mentioned, okay, that there is another type of ayatana. So that is actually the nibbana. So he refers nibbana also as a ayatana. So now only that particular ayatana is available to you. Now if you look at the other side, now assume that you are in that ayatana. Suppose you are in that ayatana where there is no such torment going on, no such torturing. You are completely peaceful. Your mind is completely still. No kind of agitation going on, no proliferation going on. You are utterly peaceful. At that time, assume that someone is talking. Then you feel disturbed. If you open the eyes and everything appears sort of different kinds of lights and all these different things are coming, you feel disturbed. You feel kind of torment. Or various thoughts are coming. So you want to calm down, relax. At that time, if all of a sudden many thoughts are coming, you feel disturbed. So this is the way you have to look at. So why Buddha referring this passa ahara, the nutriment of contact, as a skin cow? I hope you understand. And second, the other one is manosancitana ahara. So as we explained, so assume that you are in a position where you have no chetana at all. So this is actually very beautifully explained in the Pottapada Sutta, where Buddha mentioned, say, when one reaches fairly high concentrated level, so he come to a decision. So actually in the Pottapada Sutta, they are coming step by step. So there is gross level of concentration, leaving that concentration, so you come into a more refined concentration. Then that appear like gross. Then you come to a more refined concentration. Each and every step, progressive step, is done through volition, chetana. then he understand, okay, every time I am making new volition to come to a more refined state, then I consolidate that. Again I do new volition, then I get another type of level, then I am making another volition to come to another level. So always I am making a volition. So now he may understand, okay, this volition is not necessary. Chetana me papyo, achetana me seyo. So chetana is a kind of a bad thing, hindrance. How about not having chetana? So he decided not to have chetana. Then only the mind touches the cessation, nirodha. Suppose you are there. Like we discuss the same way, like we argue in the passa ahara. Assume that you are in a position, there are no chetana at all. So there is no, then that indicates that you are completely calm, quiet, contented, completely satisfied. So why we want to make a chetana? So because I am not satisfied right now, I want something, I want to do something, I want to talk to him, I have to think about it. So that means I have some inner agitation. So agitation is promoting kind of a chetana, volition. So I want to do, I want to think, I want to talk. But if you are completely satisfied, completely contented, that's it. So you are there, fully calm, quiet. So in that setup, why Buddha considering chetana, the nutriment of chetana, as a way a person being carried to a coal pit? So our chetana are in a way working against us. Very much like. So if you are making a chetana to stop chetana, no problem. That we don't do, no. We are making chetana to do more chetana. One chetana after another chetana, after another chetana, after another chetana, an endless chetana. And ultimately, it is not just chetana, no. Chetanaham bhikkave kammam vadami. Now future also, we are already prepared. You do a lot of activities today as a person, based on volition, based on avijja. So you are writing your future. Say even if you die, there is another life. Because there are enough conditions you prepare while being in this life by doing so much of activities, either bodily, verbal or mental activities, that conditions the future birth. There also you reap what you have done. So Chetana in that sense is helping us to continue in the samsara. So it is, if you look at it in that angle, then we can say, okay, these are against, they are working against me, against my welfare. I want to calm down, I want to attain Nibbana, but this Chetana is not allowing, it's completely dragging me towards more and more activities, more and more thinking, more and more, say, verbal activities that produce more karma. Then I have to ultimately bear the fruits. So that is why Buddha mentioned, consider Chetana as a kind of a person being dragged towards a coal pit, while he want not to be, because he know it's a kind of a torture. It's going to die. It's burning coal is there, so he know. But the powerful people, two persons, are dragging him. That is the way Buddha mentioned to look at the Chetana. So when you are thinking like that, what is the attitude you get? So you get an attitude, then I better reduce Chetana, right? That is the direction Buddha always taking us, no? So he give a proper perspective about Chetana. Now we have a wrong perspective about Chetana. Now Buddha give us a proper perspective. Then we also might look, okay, I still don't understand. According to this simile, it seems like Chetana is working against me. I better reduce it. I better minimize it. At that very moment, you feel contented. You feel happy. You feel quiet, satisfied. And you don't want to do anything. That's why, typically through Vipassana, you reach this state where the mind is freed. At that time, what are you going to do? Once the mind is free, should not entertain any Chetana. So if you are asking, Bhante, what I am going to do, what next? What would be the next item? What would be the next stage? So that means still you are not happy at that present moment. So in that sense, we need to understand, okay, this Chetana, again conditioned by various other conditions, say how my upbringing, my religion, my social conditioning, my education, my likes and dislikes, various advertisements, my family influence. So many conditions are there which is conditioning Chetana. So Chetana is not pure in that sense. Now I am working, I am talking, I am drinking, I am eating. So now I am interpreting like I am the one doing it. But this action being influenced by so many other external activities. Now how many are we going to a particular supermarket and why are we selecting a particular brand? So that is because we are being influenced. We are being, brainwashed in a way. Brainwashed regarding a particular brand. Again and again a particular brand is showing in the internet, showing in the TV. So we are looking at it. So it is deeply conditioned in the mind, okay, this is the best brand. I better go and buy that. So this should be the one. I am using a different one, better I try that one. So this is, slowly, they know how to rewrite our program. So there's a program going on in the mind. So that program is telling us, okay, this is the brand you need to buy. So is it the choice done by me? Is it my choice? I mean, you can see how twisted our mind is in a way. So we are taking something, we are selecting something, we are choosing someone. Why? So we are being conditioned by that selection, pre-conditioned, very much like. So that is why Nibbana is called the opposite, unconditioned. Our minds are already conditioned, already programmed. Now it's a matter of deconditioning, de-learning. So our mind is doing something based on the previous program, preconceived ideas, so much of other conditioning. Now recognizing that and minimize that, so that we can write a new program, maybe. Or at least avoid writing any program, if possible. So that's why Buddha mentioned, Visankaragatan Chittang. So his mind no more writing any programs. He sees something and that's it. He's not doing any more construction based on what he has seen. Hears, smell, taste, touch, thought, and they come and go as it is. There is no inner conditioning contribution happen. So he is experiencing them at their purest form, unlike us. So that's why we have to look at Chetana in that angle. So the last one is the difficult part, what you call the consciousness. So that also have to, in order to understand Buddha's simile, we have to have another dimension. So then only we can understand, okay, why Buddha is referring as 300 spear strucks. 300, not just one. Now, different similes. You can, you see, why Buddha didn't use 300 spear strucks as the passahara? Why he considers skin cow as the passahara? So there is a very beautiful matching here. So Buddha's similes are extremely powerful to understand the reality. Because sometimes we can't directly understand the reality. Through a simile only we are able to properly relate it. So why it is not just 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, but 300. The morning 100, afternoon 100, night 100. So many spear strucks. So that in the other hand, we can say, okay, suppose that you are able to maintain your mind completely free. We'll come to the same scenario. So at that time, a thought is a hindrance. A thought is a disturbance. A thought is a kind of a jerk to the mind. So assume that you are in a very peaceful kind of a thing. Thought is kind of a spike in your mind. Say it's a kind of a jump. Say if you consider the deep sea. If you are going to the deep sea, there are no waves, right? It's completely still. That's the calmness. Deep but still. How about the beach? Shallow but noisy. Turbulent. So shallow, turbulent, noisy. Beach is something like the typical worldly mind. Always spear strikes. Always waves coming and hitting the, say, walls, stones, making a lot of noise. So that is the typical nature of the mind. But the deep sea, deep, by the way, has a lot of wisdom, but still. At that time, assume that kind of a wave happen, then it's a disturbance. So likewise, in our mind also, so more you feel comfortable, more you feel calm, relaxed, still, to such a mind, so even a thought, even a sign appearing in the mind appear like a kind of a disturbance. That's why pabansara bidam bhikkave chittang chanchako agantuke upakkilesi upakkilittam. So the typical original nature of the mind is pure. To that pure mind, so these intruding thoughts, intruding defilements are the upakkilesa, are the kind of the problem. So in that angle, when we are seeing, okay, when I am inviting, when I am enjoying any kind of thinking, any kind of mental proliferation, so it's a kind of a torture. It's a kind of a disturbance to the mind. So then we have a different perspective. Okay, let me keep the mind quiet, free from thinking, free from mental proliferation, conceptual proliferation. Quiet mind, free from inner chatter. Now your direction changes. You can see how Buddha is, properly changing our perspective. So we had a wrong perspective. Now he is telling, okay, this is the way. No, what you are thinking is wrong. So this should be the proper way. So he is directing us to that proper way where calmness is available, stillness is available, quietude is available, absence of thoughts are available. It doesn't mean that we should never think. So thinking may happen under your supervision. While mindfully you are thinking, no problem. Something like that. So this is the way that we need to understand the four nutriments, ahara. So it's a very powerful teaching by the Buddha. And if you properly apply that, that's why Buddha mentioned that it is producing a lot of results. Yeah.
Report number 2. Venerable Bhante, I am improving Sapta Bojjhanga when walking meditation. After that, how to improve Vimukti in walking meditation? I value your advice. May Triple Gem bless you.
So it may happen naturally. So actually at the beginning, I think even yesterday we discussed this kind of a question. So we can't force ourselves to the next step. So it's a matter of further and further practicing, investigating. So that is developing fair amount of Bojjhanga. So when it reaches another level, so we yesterday discussed, so things appear like faded away. Things appear like blurred. So you simply have to be with it. So reduce chetana, reduce volition. And just be. Now slowly, so your mind sort of tries seclusion. It emerged from activities, investigations, because they are not interesting. So mind is now wanting to find a foot. So where is it going to find? Nowhere. There is no place to sit. Then assume that mind become fairly freed. Because say Rupa arising and passing away. Saddha arising and passing away. Gandha arising and passing away. Taste, rasa arising and passing away. Tangibles, Spassa arising and passing away. Thoughts arising and passing away. So where can I trust? What is not arising and passing away? Now, that is, when one understands the reality, the impermanence, so what is not impermanent? Now, mind is now being understood, okay, everything is impermanent. Whatever the conditioned phenomena are impermanent, subject to suffering, unsatisfactory, beyond my control. Where can I stand? So then mind gives up all those conditioned phenomena. Then mind is finding out its own kind of a freedom. That is why it is called unconditioned. It now want to become unconditioned. So this is the freedom that we are talking. So at that level, Buddha mentions how the development of Bojjhanga becomes different. So far you were developing Bojjhanga in one method. Now you are coming to a different method of developing Bojjhanga. So that is what Buddha mentioned. Viveka nisitang, viraga nisitang, nirodha nisitang, vassagga parinaming sat sambojjhangam bhavedi. Viveka nisitang, viraga nisitang, nirodha nisitang, vassagga parinaming dhamma viche sambojjhangam bhavedi. So likewise, he repeat for each and every Bojjhanga. Now your way of practice completely change. Viveka nisitang. So you prefer seclusion. Seclusion means not that you want to be alone, rather your mind to maintain this seclusion, solitude. Doesn't want to associate anything. Viveka nisitang, viraga nisitang. Doesn't have any attachment, inspiration towards these conditioned phenomena. Viraga. Nirodha. So it likes to be in the cessation, nirodha level. So not interested of samudaya part, arising part. Because he know, even though it is arising, it is passing away. Subjected to passing away. No point desiring such phenomena. So therefore it likes to behave, or rather stay, in the cessation. Vassagga parinaming, whatever arises, it likes to let it go, abandon. Vassagga parinaming. So that is while keeping such attitude, now he is developing Bojjhanga. More and more, in other terms, as you associating this free state, unassociated state, anupadana state, non-grasping state. So more and more one develops that. The second level of development of Bojjhanga is there. So that is the way to achieve the Vimutti Jnana Dassana. Where mind is fairly familiarized with the freedom. It is not a freedom that you are forcing yourself, but it is supported by wisdom, Jnana Dassana. Vijja and Vimutti go hand in hand. So it is supported with wisdom. As a result of that, there is the sustenance of the freedom. It's not unlike, say, you are achieving samatha meditation, so you are trying to maintain metta ceto vimutti. Possible. Say your mind is free, no conditioning in the sense, no boundary, but still not much supported by wisdom. So it is fully supported by concentration. But in the vipassana side, vijja vimutti means different. So where you have fair wisdom, vijja. Instead of avijja, now you have vijja, the freedom, the wisdom part, vipassana part. And with that you are maintaining an unattached mind, because mind understood no point of attaching, no point of grasping. Yeah.
Report number 3. Dear most venerable Bhante, much merit to you for all that you do for us, guiding us in the Dhamma. These questions refers to yesterday's Dhamma talk on the Kosambi Sutta's 7 good qualities to verify where you are on the path and how to further progress. Number 1. Please clarify the distinction between criteria number 1 and number 2. In both, I understood that if you see your defilements but are confident of the path, then you are on the right path and progressing. Example, seeing anger arise and controlling your response, so you are confident of the path and your practice. In the second, I understand it as you are confident in the path but not your practice. Am I correct?
I think your first statement is correct, not the second. Say the first statement in the sense, say you can recognize each and every defilement arising in the mind without your knowledge, without your unmindfulness, without your notice, the defilement can't come to the obsessive level. So that you are every time noticing that. So that is separate. I mean, that's a separate skill that one may have. But the second criteria is something different, where you have confidence of what you are altogether doing. Say for several years, assume that you are practicing. So you are practicing a particular methodology. You are gained something already. So you have achieved something already. So that practice you have confidence now. Okay, so you are sure, now I don't want to change. I don't want to look at another teacher. I don't want to look at another something. Because now I gain something through my own practice. So you are confident about yourself, not about the teacher actually. So teacher might have guided you at the beginning. But you yourself have confidence about your own practice through your own results. It is not just the looking at the defilements. So defilement part is one thing. But here, confident means, okay, overall practice producing you, taking you to the proper direction. Compared to the previous year, okay, I am in a much better situation right now. So likewise, you are comparatively, you can understand, okay, I am progressing. Therefore, I am confident, okay, what I am doing is correct. So this is the correct path. So that is the second criteria we are talking.
Part number 2. Sometimes my practice is spontaneous and sometimes it is as if my mind is hiding. How do I break this cycle or habit? It only happens in sitting meditation. Much merit to you, Venerable Bhante, Thero.
Yeah, I mean, hiding, thinamidda, or latching onto a kind of say gloomy state. So all these things are possible. Even when mind becomes free, assume that you are trying to maintain that freedom. So mind slowly go and latch on to something. It can happen. Like we discussed yesterday, say you are taking your vehicle on the highway. Say you are allowing it to freely move. You are not using the steering. So assume that it is going smoothly. So if it is perfect vehicle, well balanced, well wheel balanced, you don't need to worry. Assume that no other vehicles. The road is perfectly done by a Chinese company. But unfortunately, there is a part done by Sri Lankan company. So now it's turning a little bit to the left side. Nowadays, going to the left side. So now at that time, you should notice that and has to take it to the middle. So going towards a particular direction, going to a gloomy state, hidden state, little lethargic state, is kind of attachment, getting closer to something. But the unattached state of mind is something, I mean, there is no place to stay. Kind of overall, awareness, we can say, awareness is there, that's all. So, I mean, whatever you do, so we have to have kind of a guarding of the mind. Some amount of monitoring has to going on, where this fellow is going and latching, going and hiding, going and trying to attach with. So that kind of ongoing vigilance has to be there. Because sometimes better get up and walk rather than staying in the paryanka on such situation. Because paryanka is more prone to this samadhi. This kind of sleepy kind of samadhi. It is not the refreshing kind of samadhi. Now the proper samadhi is also there. I mean, we need to understand that also. I mean, proper samadhi, Buddha explained, okay, it has to have different characteristics. Say, that's why today morning I tried to mention that vimariyadi katena cetasa. So there can't be any narrowing down of the mind. Say, this also has. Say I am looking at this object. Suppose my mind is fully concentrated with this object. Then what do you think? Is my mind freed or is it my mind narrowed down? Narrowed down, right? Because now I can see everything as an overall picture, including this one maybe. But if I fully focus onto this, totally onto this, so my mind is fully focused onto that, then I can't see all of you. Narrowed down. So the Vipassana Samadhi is not narrowing down. We are talking, narrowing down is also part at the beginning when you do the investigation part. Say you are doing walking meditation, each and every sensation you are investigating. There, of course, we are talking about narrowing down. But later, when mind becomes free, so that freed mind we are talking, so that is not a narrowed mind. It's a kind of a pervaded awareness. There is no boundary. No boundary. It's a book by Ken Wilber. I haven't read it, but highly appreciated book. I haven't read it. Bhante Dhammajiva talks really appreciative about that book. So no boundary. So mind have no boundary. So that is one quality Buddha mentioned about the proper samadhi. No boundary. And no particular place to establish. Unestablished. So likewise there are very beautiful qualities explained in Dhamma. So these are the way that we need to assess. Are we practicing proper samadhi or are we practicing wrong samadhi? As I mentioned, don't mistake it to your early stages. Say there is a stage that you need to focus your mind, you need to pay attention, you have to carefully observe, investigate. They are one level. But later when mind is interested of not attaching to anything, non-grasping, so then we are turning differently.
Report number 4. Most valuable Bhante. I feel I have developed a bad habit with progress of the meditation. With regard to myself, I get self-alerts when I get angry, when I am about to kill a mosquito, when I have a craving on something. So either I can control myself or even if I fulfill the craving, I know that I still have the craving working in me. However, bad thing is, since of late, when people in front of me acting that way, such as angry, craving and showing their ego, I notice that as well. Earlier, I do not notice these things in others who come across everyday life. I mentally note those, but do not use any words to express myself. Does this act of mental noticing create bad karma? However, I notice the good in people as well, such as kindness, innocence, and generous nature in them. And when time permits, I let them know that they are kind, helpful, etc. Thank you and much merit to you for all your guidance. Thero.
So answer is no. So they are doing wrong things and I am aware of it. I am quite sensitive about it. But if it is beyond my control and no point of talking and I can't stop them, can't help. So you can't say that you are making karma. Because now say they are killing mosquito. So killing a mosquito requires certain conditions to be satisfied. So you are not the one, you didn't have an intention to kill the mosquito and you are not using a mechanism to do it. And because of your action it is not being killed. But these are completely obvious things. So someone else is doing it but beyond my limits. You can't prevent everyone. Now say for example, Chundasukara was just next to Jetanarama, every day killing pigs. Buddha couldn't stop. And one day there were, what's this, flies who are coming to the flame. What's they are called? Fireflies. Meru? Whatever, moth. Okay, different types are there, different categories. So I am give marks to everyone. So say a flame is burnt and Buddha was just sitting and different insects coming and burning onto this. Buddha actually at that time he uttered a verse regarding this is the sansaric nature of the animals. So they are again and coming to the same burning. Assume that the single one side is burned, it is being fallen. Even with the other one, it fly up and go to the same flame. It's the nature. So can we stop that? So are we supposed to extinguish the light as a sympathetic activity of the moth? Probably we shift off all the lights. Is that the solution? Now if you switch off this light, can you switch off all the street lights? Maybe Kalalgoda you can stop, fine. All agree. No lamps. Here also a artificial lamp. No moth. So you all are very kind. So can we stop all lamps burning in the other areas? Beyond our control, beyond our limits. This is sansaric nature. So likewise, of course we become more and more sensitive. You understand your own problems, you understand your own faults. Similarly, you understand more and more others' faults as well. Can't help. So that is where you have to be more forgiving. So I am a practitioner, still I have problems. Still my mind prone to various lustful thoughts. Still my mind prone to angry thoughts. So how about him then? How about her? She is not into practice. He is not into practice. Then he or she is more vulnerable than me. So I have to have more sympathetic attitude, compassion towards him, even than myself, in that sense. Because still they are accumulating a lot of karma unknowingly. So at least I know that I am knowingly doing something, because still these defilements are so powerful. But because of the practice, one day I can control myself. Control in the sense, I am not going to the level of transgression. Like we discussed yesterday. Say, now you are burning but no transgression, no disputes, no quarrels. Maybe later, that burning reduces. Less burning. Then of course no transgression. And then even first thought you are aware, then you probably can let it go and calm down. So likewise, it's a kind of a step-by-step process. Can't help. So this is the nature. So Buddha couldn't advise everyone. Only a limited people. How many are practicing even today? Many are Buddhists, by the way. Buddhist country. Now eggs are expensive, I heard. Buddhist country. Chicken also expensive in Buddhist country. We are every day killing chicken for chicken. Are they vegetarian? So things are, it doesn't mean that we have to be completely inactive. As much as possible, we have to be sympathetic, maintain virtues, moral, and all these things. If possible, we can tell others as well, good. But 100% making a perfection, impossible. Yeah, so that's all we have received today. Any other question? Okay, so then we can wind up today's session. So today lunch dana was offered Suhanya Sanara. To bless Suhanya Sanara, these are Dear Balanage. Dear Balanage. Dear Balanage on her 4th year birthday. Right. Suhanya Sanara. Interesting names today. Arisin Ahubudu name? His son? His son is also giving names? Interesting. Okay. So we can then officially wind up today's session and the Kalalgoda August English Medium Retreat. So this way we were able to accumulate some merits. All these 3 days some of you are participating, and today some of you are participating, and we through mindfulness practice, through development of samadhi, wisdom, and offering dana, so we were able to accumulate some merits. So we share these merits with all the celestial beings, all the past relatives, and whoever in need of merits. And we wish these merits help us also to attain path, fruition, nibbana. While keeping these good wishes in our mind, let's recite the traditional verses. Ettavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavata cha amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu mamparang. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.